After years of supporting my husband's dream to start a business, he finally made it. But one night, he came home and said, "Mom thinks I should be with someone who fits the image now." She was waiting in the living room, holding a list of better matches. He handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. And a letter that ended with, "I met Adam when I was 26. I was working full-time as a dental assistant in Parma, just outside Cleveland. After work, I bartended 3 nights a week at a dive bar on Broadview Road. Not because I liked it, but because I had to. My mom was sick. We had hospital bills coming in like rain. I didn't have the luxury of rest." Adam came into the bar one night with a few guys from the car wash he worked at. He wasn't drunk. He just wanted wings and a beer. We talked. He told me about this idea he had, something about a premium home renovation company that would focus on design and speed. "Like Chip and Joanna but cooler," he said. I smiled. I'd heard a lot of big dreams behind that bar, but something about how he talked made me believe him. We started dating 2 weeks later. Adam didn't have much. He lived with his younger brother in a 2-bedroom apartment. Drove a beat-up Civic. But he was smart. Obsessive. He'd stay up late sketching out business names, drawing fake logos, writing lists of tools he'd need someday. After 3 years, we got married at the courthouse. No big wedding. Just us and a few close friends. No honeymoon. We couldn't afford it. But I didn't care. I loved him. I thought that was enough. About 6 months in, he told me he wanted to go all in on the business. He wanted to quit the car wash and focus on launching the renovation company. I was nervous, but I said yes. I told him I'd pick up more hours to cover us until he got things going. I even cashed out the $4,800 I had in my 401k. To help him buy his first set of tools, I used Pickup and pay for a basic website. For 2 years, we barely scraped by. There were months where we didn't know if rent would clear. He took every job he could, gutter cleaning, painting, even hauling trash. There were nights he didn't sleep. I remember him working on his laptop at 2 a.m., learning QuickBooks from YouTube and Googling how to file taxes as a small business. I supported him through all of it. I was the one who built his Facebook page. I made his logo in Canva. I ran the business phone from my personal line. I even wrote the contracts for his early clients. When someone left him a bad Yelp review because he showed up late, after his truck broke down, I spent the entire night emailing the site to get it taken down. And then something changed. One of his jobs, a full kitchen remodel in Westlake, went viral on Instagram. The client was some minor influencer with a home decor page. She tagged him. His follower count exploded. After that, he raised his prices. Got more clients. Hired 2 guys. Then 4. Then 8. Suddenly, we weren't struggling anymore. He leased a Mercedes. He got a personal trainer. Started buying $200 shirts and posting shirtless gym selfies like he was some celebrity contractor. I started feeling left behind. I wasn't invited to client dinners anymore. He said, "They expect a certain image now." When I offered to keep helping with his invoices, he told me it was too complex for me now. Eventually, he hired an assistant. A 23-year-old marketing major from Cincinnati who always called me Mrs. P. That's when his mom started showing up again. Evelyn. She never liked me. I knew that from the start. At our wedding, she wore black. Said it was a coincidence. She always talked down to me. Asked if I'd ever thought about finishing school, even though I already had a medical certification. Once the business took off, she came around more. Said she wanted to help him take it to the next level. I said okay. I didn't want to be the reason they fought. But slowly, she started replacing me. First with suggestions. Then with control. She helped him rebrand. Got him press coverage. She told him he needed a new story. One that would appeal to the kind of clients who live in gated communities and read luxury home magazines. I still remember the first time he said something that didn't feel like him. He looked me up and down before a dinner with his new investor and said, "Could you not wear jeans this time? We're trying to land a high-value client." It felt like a slap. But I let it go. I let a lot go. Until one night, about 6 months ago, he came home late. He was dressed sharp, navy suit, Rolex on his wrist. He smelled like cologne I didn't recognize. I was in sweats on the couch, eating leftover pasta. He walked in, looked at me, and said, "We need to talk." Before I could even ask what was wrong, Evelyn stepped out from the hallway. She was sitting in my living room. On my couch. Holding a leather binder in her lap. I stood up. "What the hell is this?" She smiled, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. Adam handed me an envelope. I opened it. Inside was a check. $250,000. Made out to me. No note. No explanation. And a letter, typed on his new company's letterhead. It said, "I want to thank you for everything you've done for me and the business. None of this would have happened without your early support. But we've grown in different directions, and I've realized that our paths no longer align. This arrangement is what's best for both of us. Please accept this as a token of gratitude and a clean break. This isn't personal. It's just smart business." I stared at the words, trying to make sense of them. Then Evelyn slid the binder toward me. I opened it. It was full of headshots. Names. Bios. LinkedIn profiles. A list of women. Every one of them came from money. Some were doctors' daughters. Some had real estate empires. One was a lifestyle influencer in Scottsdale. Evelyn said, "These are women who understand the brand. Who can carry it forward." I looked at Adam. He didn't say a word. Just looked down at the floor like a damn coward. I stood up, grabbed the check, tore it in 4 pieces, and dropped it in his drink. Then I walked out the door. But I didn't disappear. He thought I'd roll over. That I'd cry and vanish. He forgot one thing. Everything he has, I helped build it. He might have rebranded. But I still know every screw behind the drywall. I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Not quietly. I stayed at my cousin's place in Lakewood for a few weeks. Didn't tell anyone what happened. I didn't even cry right away. I felt hollow. Like someone had taken a bat to my chest and left me standing. But the more I thought about it, the more the hollow turned into heat. I wasn't going to let them rewrite history. Not Evelyn. Not Adam. Not with a check and a list of plastic smiles. I started digging. First, I called our old accountant, my old friend, Roberta. She was the one I'd begged to help us for free during the first year of Adam's business when we couldn't afford anyone. She'd been cut off when Evelyn brought in a real financial team. Roberta wasn't happy to hear what happened. "I warned him," she said. "Told him it was a mistake to push you out." Then she paused. "I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but your name's still on the original business registration. You were listed as co-founder and early investor. If you didn't sign off on the changes, I hadn't. I never signed anything to remove myself." Roberta emailed me copies of everything. Turns out, Adam and Evelyn had restructured the company quietly last year. They made it look like I'd sold my share. Forged paperwork. I didn't know any of it was happening. So I called a lawyer. Laura was fierce. She was the kind of woman you wanted in your corner during a storm. She took one look at the documents and said, "This is fraud." Plain and simple. She started building a case. While she worked, I started my own kind of war. I still had access to the original social media accounts. The ones I built. Adam must have forgotten. I logged in one night, took screenshots of everything, early DMs from desperate clients, payment receipts, contract drafts I'd written by hand, even photos of us building his first showroom together. Then I posted one picture. It was of us on the day he signed his first 5-figure client. I was holding the camera. He had his arm around me, dirty from drywall, smiling like we'd made it. I captioned it. Behind every self-made man is a woman he forgot when the money came in. Funny how history gets rewritten when the checks get big. It didn't go viral. Not right away. But people noticed. Especially his old clients. Women who'd liked our story. One by one, they started commenting, "Where's the wife? I thought this was a family business? Why isn't she mentioned anymore?" Then I made a second post. I showed a scan of the forged document with my name on it. I didn't accuse directly. Just asked, "Anyone know a lawyer who can explain how this got filed without my signature?" That one blew up. Evelyn's picture was on the company website by then. Labeled Strategic Advisor. A few nights later, I got a text from Adam. "Take it down. This isn't good for either of us." I didn't respond. But that same week, I noticed something strange. His company's Google rating started slipping. A few 1-stars. A couple of reviews from women saying they felt uncomfortable working with his new team. I didn't write them. I didn't tell anyone to. But people were watching. And I wasn't done. Because the real twist came when Laura found out that my 401k contribution, the one I cashed out to fund his launch, was legally documented as a business loan. We had the receipt. The bank transfer. The memo line even said for startup use. He owed me that money. Plus interest. And if we proved fraud on the forged documents, we could freeze the business accounts until it got sorted. I sent Adam one last message. Just a screenshot of the filing. No words. No threats. He didn't reply. But 2 days later, Evelyn did. She called me. She never used my name before. Always her or that girl. But this time she said, "Can we talk?" I smiled. Because I knew. They thought they were playing chess. They didn't realize I'd built the damn board. I didn't answer Evelyn's call. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message that sounded calm on the surface but cracked underneath. "We don't need to let this spiral, okay? You've made your point. Let's meet. I'm sure we can come to an understanding that doesn't involve lawyers." I replayed it twice. An understanding? Now she wanted to play nice. I saved the voicemail and forwarded it to Laura. Her reply, "They're sweating. Let them." That week, Laura filed the preliminary fraud complaint. We also sent out a cease and desist to Adam's company, demanding all branding materials stop using anything I created, including the logo, slogan, and website layout. She worded it hard. In the meantime, I went quiet online. But I was still gathering. I reached out to a woman named Janelle. She used to be one of Adam's earliest clients. He remodeled her kitchen when we were still hand-delivering flyers around Westlake. She'd become a friend back then. After I disappeared from the business, she messaged me once asking if everything was okay. I never replied. Now I did. Janelle called me the next morning. I knew something was off. "He told me you wanted out. That you didn't believe in the company anymore." That hit hard. I told her the truth. Everything. Janelle's husband was a contractor too, one with deep ties to the local builders network. She offered to help spread word, discreetly. I didn't ask for it, but she did it anyway. Within days, whispers were moving through the renovation community, people were pulling out of scheduled jobs, vendors were stalling, and a couple of his newer hires quit. And then came another twist. Laura discovered that Evelyn had transferred a chunk of the company's assets, furniture, showroom materials, even branded laptops, to a newly created LLC in her own name. Probably to shield them in case of a lawsuit. But the transfer had been sloppy. Dated just 2 days after we sent the legal notice. That made it look shady. Potentially criminal. We now had fraud and asset concealment. Adam must have known. Because a few days later, I got an email from his assistant, the same 23-year-old girl who used to call me Mrs. P. Her tone was fake sweet. "Hi. Adam would like to invite you to a meeting this Thursday to discuss resolution options. Please let us know if you'd prefer a virtual or in-person setting." I didn't reply. Laura did. She sent a notice that we'd be proceeding with a formal demand for repayment, restitution, and retraction of any public claims made about me leaving voluntarily. The next morning, Adam texted me again. I miss you. I know I screwed up. We were good once. Can't we find a way to fix this? I stared at that message. Not because I believed him, but because I finally saw how weak he really was. He built his brand on my back. My hours. My sweat. My sacrifice. And when Evelyn showed up with her money and her ego, he folded like a napkin. He thought he'd upgraded. But all he'd done was lose the one person who actually had his back. And now that his fake empire was crumbling, he wanted comfort. But I wasn't that girl anymore. That girl was gone. Then, right when I thought I had control of the story, one more twist hit, one I never saw coming. An anonymous email landed in my inbox. No subject. No signature. Just a sentence. You should ask Adam about Chicago. January 14th. Check the Hilton receipts. I stared at it for a long time. Then I called the Hilton downtown. I gave them his name and said I needed a copy of his guest receipt for expense verification. They emailed it without a problem. There it was. One night stay. Suite room. January 14th. 2 guests listed. And the second name? Kayla Whitman. The assistant. The same girl who called me Mrs. P. The same girl who sent that meeting email. It wasn't just business betrayal. It wasn't just fraud. He cheated. While I was still in that house. While I was still folding his laundry, covering shifts, fighting off burnout for him. He was in a hotel bed in Chicago, playing the part of a business star with his new side piece. I felt cold. But I wasn't shocked. Not anymore. Because this wasn't a marriage that fell apart. This was a man who made a choice. And now? Now it was my turn to make mine. I didn't cry over the Hilton receipt. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I read it, saved it, forwarded it to Laura, then got up and made myself a sandwich. That was the moment I knew I was done feeling sorry for myself. I wanted justice. No, I wanted them exposed. Adam. Evelyn. Even Kayla, that smug little assistant who probably thought I was just some washed-up ex-wife standing in the way of her upgraded lifestyle. Over the next few weeks, everything came together fast. Laura filed the fraud case in Cuyahoga County. She added the Hilton evidence to the case, not because infidelity was illegal, but because it helped paint the full picture of what they'd done: business fraud, asset concealment, and character attacks on me to cover their betrayal. I stayed quiet publicly while our legal filings gained steam. But behind the scenes? I was preparing for a final move. I called up a local Cleveland reporter named Tyra I'd met years back when Adam got featured in a Rising Entrepreneurs piece. I sent her everything. The forged documents, the fake narrative about me stepping away, the check, the anonymous email, the Hilton receipt. She was floored. And she wanted the story. I gave it to her. Every word. 3 weeks later, a story hit Cleveland.com's business section: contractor power couple, truth behind the breakup, the woman erased from her own business. It got picked up by regional outlets, then national blogs. Not because I was famous, but because people love a real-life betrayal story, especially when it ends in fire. Adam and Evelyn both went silent online. His company's Yelp and Google reviews were a bloodbath. Clients pulled out. A sponsor dropped. A local supplier he bragged about partnering with? They terminated the deal within 48 hours of the story. But that was just the start. Evelyn tried to spin things. Her lawyer claimed the asset transfers were strategic restructuring. Laura laughed. We had her timestamped emails and internal communications that showed she was trying to hide assets. The court didn't buy her excuses. They froze the company's accounts pending investigation. Evelyn had to appear in person for a deposition. She was forced to admit, under oath, that she had used my original business contributions to secure new investments while publicly acting like I'd never existed. That's wire fraud. It went federal. Adam? He didn't even try to fight it. His lawyer reached out for a settlement. Laura and I agreed, but on my terms. I made him admit, in writing and in court, that I was the co-founder, early investor, and that the forged documents were done without my consent. I got a public statement. I got a payout. And I got 51% ownership of the company. He thought he could throw me out with a check. Now I owned more of his brand than he did. I didn't keep the company. Once the legal dust settled, I shut it down. Liquidated everything. Auctioned off his showroom. Sold his branded tools. Cancelled every upcoming contract. Sent polite emails to clients. We regret to inform you the business will be closing due to internal restructuring. Thank you for your support. Adam showed up at my cousin's house once. He looked like hell, hair messy, shirt wrinkled, eyes red. He stood outside the gate yelling, "You're destroying everything. You were supposed to be my wife, not my enemy." I didn't go outside. I just watched from the upstairs window. Let him scream. He didn't care when he handed me that letter. He didn't care when I was working double shifts to fund his dreams. He cared now. Because now, he had to start over. And no one was going to cover for him this time. Evelyn? She lost her reputation. The community board she chaired? Removed her. A local charity she donated to publicly returned her contributions. Quietly. But the message was clear, her legacy was poisoned. Kayla? She went silent online for months. Deleted her Instagram. She was never formally named in the legal stuff, but she knew she was part of the reason it all burned down. A friend told me she took a job out of state. Somewhere in Texas. Couldn't handle the whispers in Cleveland. And me? I didn't come out perfect. I learned that I stayed quiet for too long. Ignored too many red flags. Let myself be used because I thought love meant sacrifice without limits. I'm not proud of that. But I'm proud of what I did next. With the money I got from the lawsuit, I opened my own business. Small, quiet, mine. A home consultation and planning company. I don't need flash. I don't need press. I work with families who remind me of who Adam and I used to be, before the money, before the lies. I tell them the truth. About budgets. About burnout. About how not every partner stays loyal when the success hits. I haven't dated anyone since. Not yet. I'm not closed off, but I'm not in a rush. I spent too long helping someone else chase their dream while mine sat in a drawer. Now it's my turn. And if Adam ever drives past one of my job sites and sees my name on a sign? Good. Let that be the last thing he sees before he hits another dead end. Because this time I'm not the woman behind the man. I'm the woman who watched him burn, and walked away with the fire still in her hands.